Hey, welcome to module 5. Today we're going to focus on websites. So we're going to focus on ensuring that you've got a really great website that's showing you off as you should be, and the SEO side of things, so search engine optimization and ensuring that your site is actually going to be found, which of course is probably even more important than the look of your website. So I've been a web designer for quite a few years. I obviously run my little digital marketing agency. So websites are my thing. I really enjoy putting websites together along with, all the branding stuff and the SEO, the back end, which is, as I say, the really important bit, but can be slightly more complicated. There are words when it comes to SEO that you may not, understand. So what I want to do is talk you through all of that today, talk you through things like meta descriptions and keywords and the things that can be a little overwhelming, and how to, put that all together. Plus we have a workbook to go through, but take lots of notes throughout this session. Of course, watch this session again if you need to. But I'll give you as much as I can. Hi, James.
Oh.
So let's get into it. So why do you need a website? A website is your shopfront. It's your online shopfront. So you need a website so people can find you and see you. Everybody needs a website now if you're running a business, like we all know. Now, different types of websites. Obviously, you've got a professionally designed website, or you've got a free website, one that you've done yourself. There are obviously pros and cons to both of them. You've got things like Wix, Create. There's a few other, websites where you can do it for free or very little cost. What I would say to you is they've got some great templates there. However, the back end isn't fantastic on these services. So when it comes to SEO, they're not very strong. Google loves WordPress. So Google and WordPress are best friends. So if you've got a WordPress-based website, you're more likely to be found on Google. Now, I can't say that, with so much authority, but there is a lot of, research and literature behind it that WordPress is, the best platform to have your website based on. Okay, so I would recommend you get a professional design your website, but you can have, really nice templates too on free or relatively low cost websites. But what I would say is perhaps if you are doing that, also get a professional web designer to maybe look over it and make sure you've got the elements in the right place and you really are selling yourself in the right way. And do think about that back end, because the back end is probably, as I say, the most important part. Okay. What you need to do is have a look over your website. If you've got a current website, sit there for 10 minutes and just look at your homepage. Go through your homepage. Ensure that it's on brand. So every element of your website needs to be on brand. Again, branding is all about consistency. Yeah, it's all about ensuring that everything you do for marketing looks and feels the same. You want to be known for your style and your personality, and as we've been through before, your values, your mission, and of course, your colors and your fonts. You want to be found for that, and you want people to know that. So as soon as they come, they may see you on social media first, and then they click through from social media onto your website. You want them to know as soon as they click through that they're on the right site. Yeah, they're with the right people. So make sure your site's on brand, number one. Have a look at your site from an outsider's point of view. Have a look at your site and think, when people arrive, do they know who I am? Like, do they know that I'm a celebrant and what I do? Now, this is really important because there are a lot of sites out there and a lot of celebrant sites I see a lot of times where I go on their website and it doesn't scream celebrant to me. It doesn't tell me anything about them. It doesn't say to me straight away that they're officiating ceremonies or writing personalized ceremonies. So you've got 5 seconds to impress someone when they jump on the website. So make sure when they jump there that they know what your offering is. You can do that visually. It doesn't have to be a big paragraph as soon as you jump on it, but just a few words, a nice line or two on the, the front homepage as soon as you arrive, on the top half of your homepage. that they can see, you know, what you do as a role. So scroll through your homepage. Obviously your homepage is, you know, the first thing that most people will come to, unless, you know, you're using that, you know, Pinterest tools that we've been talking about, and they're clicking through to your blog, or, you know, you're getting some PR out there and you're, you know, directing them to different pages on your site. Most likely it's the homepage that they will go to first, especially if it's an organic site, organic search, and they found you through Google. They'll come to your homepage. So go through your homepage, make sure the colors are right, and make sure too that anything you've got on there content wise represents you, okay? Represents you and your brand again. So anything that's on there represents what you're offering. So not only your services, but again, your values, you know, and what it is about you and your business that makes you special. Now, on every page of your site, and I'll talk through this a little bit more when it comes to SEO, but every page of your site really should have a minimum of 100 words, and that's really real minimum. Google says 300 words is, you know, a decent amount. That's kind of your amber, you know, if we're going from red, amber and green. And then, you know, if you've got 500 words for your web page or a blog, that's a very, very good amount. So that's your green. But what I would say to you is try not to stick to those guidelines if you feel that's too much. For example, your home page, you do not want to clutter it with content. So your home page does need to have lots of headers, lots of one-liners, you know, and maybe a nice block about you. Or about your service or something like that, but you don't ever want to clutter too many pages. So I would try and stick to around the 300 mark for your pages when you're looking at content. Okay, images, really important. Images, when it comes to your website, ensure the images are sharp and clear. You don't want any fuzzy images, any pixelated images on your website. It will just devalue your website. Okay, so sharp images. You can get lots of images, and I think I put the video now in the Facebook group for free. And really nice images. So unsplash.com is probably the most popular now. You can download very, very good professional images for free. So there now is no excuse to have bad images on your website. Okay, don't go to Google and just download images on Google, because they're, you know, probably copywritten and you can't just take them. So use them from these websites that are offering free images. They're really, really great. So think about having really sharp images. Now, what I want to say is try and have images of you at least once on your homepage, okay? Because you want to make that connection straight away as soon as people hit your homepage. So ensure that you've got an image of you on your homepage. You don't want too many stock images taking away from you and making your site more generic than it needs to be, okay? So make sure you've got a picture of you on the homepage. When you're looking at that, again, make sure as much as you can it is a professional image. Okay, as much as you can, make sure it's a professional image. And do they represent you? You know, do they represent you as a celebrant and your business? You know, do they represent you? You may not want a picture of a couple, a couple in a campsite getting married or something like that. You know, you may not want that. It may not be your thing. It may not suit your brand hero. So do think about your brand hero when you're putting images on your website. Okay. I'm thinking about, you know, generic. This is the whole thing. You don't want anything that you do as a celebrant. It's so easy to be generic because we're such a niche area and we all want to appeal to, you know, lots of people. So if you can just make sure you're on brand throughout all of it, your images are sharp and they represent you, and the content you've got on there screams you won't be generic. You know, you are going to be unique. Now, as I say, your website is your shop front. It's that one place where you can talk about you and your business. Excuse me a second. Okay. Can you still see me? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah, so make sure it's all about what you do. Now, there are certain styles of fonts now. Very popular fonts are the handwritten fonts, the script fonts, making it look like you've actually written on your website. They are very popular now and very modern, so have a think about that, but make sure the ones that you use are legible. And then ask yourself, does it sell my service? So just think about your homepage to start with. Does it sell my service? Does it represent me? And does it connect with my brand hero? And then go through every single page in the same way. So don't clutter your pages. Keep it to around 300 words. If you can, 500 would be great, but without making it too cluttered. And yeah, and then I would consider, and I would recommend, if you can, add prices on your website, because people, you know, there's two ways of looking at it, and some people say don't put prices on your website, but I think you should put prices on your website, because that's one less stumbling block for you. Okay, so you may have a consultation, you may be on that consultation for half an hour to an hour, and then you say your price right at the end, and then they think, no, I'm going to go with a cheaper celebrant. But if they know your price already, then when they come and meet you, there's not that block in the way. Yeah, because that block's always going to be there if you tell them right at the end. But if you've told them before, they're less likely, as long as you impress them, to not book you, because they know what your price is already. Okay, so either have it on your website or make sure you mention it in an email before you have your consultation. A few tips. So I would stick to 5 to 7 pages max on your website. Don't go any more than 7 pages. It's just too much content for your website, and it's not necessary. You don't need tons and tons of information on there. For me, for example, I've got more pages on my website, and for me, the reason for that is because I designed my website back in 2010. I put a ton of pages on it right at the beginning, because celebrancy was still relatively unknown at that time. I had to fill my website with content that was going to get found, and I still had to educate. So now what I've done is I've built up my SEO rankings, my Google rankings on all of those pages. So I can't let go of those pages because they're still being found. So if I let go of any of those pages, they'll be found, and when people click on them, they won't go to a website. Or they go to my website, but it'll be an unfound page, a 404 page they call it, where it just says this page cannot be displayed. So that is the trouble when you've already bulked out a website. But I would say to you, stick to 5 to 7 pages on your website. Obviously, blogs are going to add more pages to your site, but generally, when you're talking about your services and selling your services, stick to those guidelines. Tell them why they need you. So make sure with your content, you turn it around onto them. So again, all the time, we want to give value. That's what I'm saying. That's the main point I want to take away. I want you to take away from all of this training is that we have to give people value in order to get things back. Okay. So we think about when you're writing on your website, how can I give them value through this site? So what information can I give them that will ensure that they come to me for their service because they connect with me? All the content resonates with them. They read that content and it talks to them. So make sure you use words like this is what I can offer you. Do you want an outdoor wedding? Are you looking for a personalized service? Do you know about hand fastings? Would something like this interest you? Watch this video or whatever you've created. Think about ensuring that you've turned it around on them rather than being too factual. And a really nice thing to do too is, even if it just is on your about page, but I wouldn't put something like Jennifer Constant is a celebrant. She's been a celebrant for 8 years. I wouldn't put that. I would put, hi, I'm Jennifer. Make sure you're writing it from your point of view and you're talking to them. Always talk to them. Okay. Websites, one of the biggest tips really is simplicity. Keep it simple. Don't overfill it with too much information or images. Have lots of white space, so it's nice and clear and easy for people to go through it. So definitely, you know, have your brand colors going through it, but keep a lot of white space. It's fresh that way, and it's more, you know, of a modern technique. Now, I'm not just saying white as in white, but like grays, you know, like creams, you know, things that are more bland, I guess, in the background, so then all your brand colors, you know, are popping. Okay, what I want to show you before I go into SEO is an example of a website that that's started off, you know, in a way that they weren't getting any traction with their site. They weren't really getting anywhere with bookings. You know, they were getting the odd booking here or there, and they, you know, really wanted to up their game, so they needed a new website. So what I want to just show you is these two websites. Now, this is probably an extreme case, but I still want to show you the differences. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Smith Celebrants, won't mind me using them as an example. Their website, number one, was already a free WordPress website. Okay, so if you can see in this URL up here at the top, you can all see this. Can you just give me a thumbs up? Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Smith Celebrants.wordpress.com. Okay, so already they've not got a professional URL. Make sure your URL is Mr. and Mrs. Celebrants.com. Okay, so this is showing the person coming to this website that they don't really, you know, take their business seriously because they've not invested in their marketing or invested in their website because they've got a free site. Okay, they love the color gray, but they filled their website with gray. They've got adverts on their website because it is a free website. WordPress puts adverts on their website. I'm quite lucky this is about mortgages, although I'm not sure she looks like she's talking about mortgages. They've got beautiful image of them, but slightly pixelated. Directory logo. But they've had this fantastic video that's embedded in their site. Now, this really shows them off brilliantly. I'll just play a couple of seconds for you.
We realise every death is different, just as every family is unique, and the need for a funeral, a memorial or a tribute is personal. And that is why we individually design the most fitting and meaningful service just for you.
So they've created a really great video. You know, they've spent out and invested on this video. They wanted to explain, you know, who they are as celebrants, but it's a buried video. You know, it's right at the bottom of a quite confusing website. They've got, you know, why choose us down here. Just scroll down. They've got a why choose us. But again, it's we work with families. Why choose us? Because you want this, or because I can offer you this. You know, it's flipping it around the text and the content, so it is just facing the couple. But they've got some great content on here, but unfortunately it's just all lost and all jumbled. So we worked together to create their new website, which now, as soon as you go on this website, it says celebrants for all occasions. Okay, so straight away, you know it's about celebrants, and you know it's about all different ceremony types, ceremony types. And then you've got these buttons here straight away. One's about us and one's about our services. So straight away, as soon as you get on the website, you are directed to where you want to be. Okay. Then as we scroll down, we've got an introduction to them at the beginning. We've got then introductions to the services that they're doing. They have a special ceremony they do called Magical Moments, where they add different elements of ceremony options. They add, I think they pull people together like a band and things like that. And they get suppliers together and create these Magical Moments ceremonies. Testimonials are on there. Now, make sure you've got testimonials embedded on your website, whether they are on your homepage or on the bottom of each page, or you have a separate section. Ensure you've got a section for testimonials. It's really important. A bonus would be testimonials with an image. That's a bonus. That's creating that feel of credibility because there is an image next to it. They've got a lovely picture of them. This is now not a pixelated picture. It says, who are we? And then down at the contact form, they've got a video. Okay, so they got their video. So they're going to watch that video, be impressed by that video, and then contact them. Yeah, so that's the purpose of having them next to each other. Contact is very, very important. Make sure it's really easy to contact, to get in touch with you. So make sure that's easy, whether it's a contact us button at the top or it's a contact form, it's somewhere embedded on the page. You do need that. I would definitely suggest having a contact form because it makes it easier than copy and pasting an email into an email client. So it's just straight away, they can just type in and send the message out. Whatever is easy for the client. We want to get those bookings, we want to convert them over. If they've been impressed by your website, they've been impressed by one of your pages, great. Let them contact you and communicate with you within just a few clicks, rather than a copy and paste element. Of course, still keep your email address on there. Make sure your phone number's on there. I would recommend having a Stripe address so that people know, that you're available via Stripe, Skype. So yeah, have a Skype address if you can. I don't know about you guys out there, but I have my consultations the majority of time. My first consultation is on Skype. I have my bank client is called Stripe, so I've been working on that today, so I'm getting mixed up with that. But yeah, I have a lot of my consultations over Skype now, so I would recommend going that extra bit further and tailoring your Skype to your business name. So that's what I'm going to go into really with websites. It's really important you have a professional looking site. So do invest in your website. If you're going to do your own website, consider getting it done professionally, just because people who are doing it professionally know how to lay these websites out for the best conversion rates. You want people to go on your website and contact you, of course. So within that first 5 seconds, you want to knock their socks off. There'll be a lot of celebrants in your area that either don't have websites, especially funeral celebrants, don't have websites, or have bad looking websites. So I met a guy I went to the AOIC AGM on Saturday and did a presentation on marketing. And I met a celebrant there who's just a funeral celebrant who has only just started in the last few months and has a website up, and his first 2 bookings were through his website for funerals. So that's really, good to know, because hopefully that's the direction, that we are going in. And that's why I say to everybody, funeral celebrant or not, you should have a website. You should be visible online. Let me close this share down. Okay. So SEO, our next topic. Search engine optimization, okay? This is a biggie. There are companies, massive companies, that will look after your SEO for you. They would charge anywhere between £300 and £1,000 a month to look after your SEO, okay? So SEO isn't just about optimizing the back end, but it's also about that PR, yeah? It's also about getting those backlinks out there, and I'll explain what backlinks are again in a minute, but it's all about getting those blogs out there. So SEO companies not only optimize your site, but they also write content for you and then put content out there in the wider community and try and get your content onto these big websites. That's why they charge so much. but you can do your own SEO. You can do your own SEO. And that's what I'm saying to you about website design. If you have a WordPress-based website, it's a lot easier to do your SEO, and it's a lot easier for Google to find it, because Google and WordPress are best friends. So it is better, if you can, to have a WordPress-based website, but then I'm not, putting you off having the free ones or the cheaper versions of, building your own websites, as long as you get that SEO content correct in the back end. So there's quite a few things with SEO. So I'm going to go through these points. Okay. So keyword in your URL. So your URL, so your web, your www, needs to be on every single page clean. Okay, and when I say clean, there are a lot of websites out there that have, for example, mrandmrs.co.uk/homepage/123 or something like that. It's not a clean web domain. So make sure every single page is just Mr. and Mrs. Smith celebrants.co.uk/about me or about us or whatever, without anything else at the end. Make sure you check, because there are a lot, again, if you do this on some of the free websites or some of the, Wix and things like that, they're often just put numbers into your web domain. Now, Google doesn't like that. You need to have clean websites, okay? So sometimes you'll see the website and then /123 or 1234, because that's just how they've put the website together. So go into the back end of your website and ensure that every single page is clean. So every single page is just your website / the name of that page. Okay, make sure the name of every single page is clear. So if you're doing wedding ceremonies, make sure it is your website / wedding ceremonies. Make sure every page, as I say, is relevant to the content on that page. And what I mean by that is, make sure, if you're having a wedding ceremonies page, make sure that wedding ceremony page is dedicated to wedding ceremonies. If you've got testimonials on that wedding ceremonies page, make sure they're relevant to wedding ceremonies, okay? You don't want to kind of cloud the water there. Again, people are coming on there to view wedding ceremonies. They don't really want to think, when they're reading that content, about their death. Yeah. So you can still, because it is our business, I still say to you, have one website for all of your services, because you are your business. But make sure on those pages you are quite streamlined with that content. Now, when it comes to writing that content for your site, again, make sure you've got on your internal pages at least 300 words on each page, and make sure you mention your keyword 3 times. So, what is a keyword? A keyword is the main word that you want to be found for on that page. Okay, so for example, on your home page, you probably want to be found for celebrant and your county or your city. Yeah, so I would want to be found for celebrant in Bristol, because I want, when someone types into Google, to be coming up there as a celebrant in Bristol. Okay, so when you're talking about it, so when you've got a wedding ceremonies page, for example, if you want your main thing to be found for that page, you really want to have a wedding celebrant. Yeah, wedding celebrant. That can be your keyword. Now, with keywords, there's short keywords and there's long keywords. I don't want to confuse you with short and long, because you now don't really need to just put one word in there. You can put a couple of words. So you can put wedding celebrant. That can be your keyword, even though that's 2 words. Okay. If you, just to give you an example of I think it's a long-term keyword. If you type into Google, you're more likely to type into Google a question now, aren't you? You're not likely to just type in 2 words or 3 words. So that is a long tail keyword when you type in a physical question. But that's more advanced SEO. We don't need to do that for what we're doing. We want to be found for those 1 or 2 keywords. Okay, so make sure that keyword is embedded a couple of times. 3 times really is really good, 2 times is okay within that page. What you want to do is ensure that keyword is in the first paragraph of that page. Okay, try and put it in the first paragraph. Now, what I don't want you to do is write the content for your website based on these keywords, okay? Because that will probably not sound good. It won't make your web page sound good. It'll make it sound kind of robotic, right? Because the words are placed in there. So write the content first, and then look over the content to see if you've mentioned that, or whether there was a way to add it in without making it sound obvious that you've added it in. And try, if you can, to get your keyword, this is especially when it comes to blogs, in the title of your blog. Okay, so you might not be able to do that necessarily within your pages, because if your one page is about wedding ceremonies, but really you want to get found for wedding celebrant, then you're not going to have that in your title. But when it comes to blogs, try and get that keyword within the title. So that's really the important things. Getting a keyword in your title, getting a keyword embedded within your first paragraph, and then see if you can get it 2 more times, okay, within your page or within a blog. So that's keywords. Every image you put onto your website, make sure your image is optimized. Now, what I mean by that is a couple of things. Make sure that image is lower than 1 meg. I would say lower than 500 KBs. Okay, so when you're shrinking images, go onto a site called Compress JPEG, and you can drag and drop your image into that website and download it, and then it will compress it for you. So when you upload it, it's nice and small. You want your images to be small, because what also for SEO is you want a fast website. Okay, this is really important. You do not want a slow website. You need a fast website. You need your website to be up and loaded within 5 seconds, kind of thing. There are a lot of websites out there that take a long time to load, and Google doesn't like that as much. Page speed is really important. The next thing to do to optimize your image is to give your image a title. Title your image. So if it is about wedding ceremonies, and your keyword is wedding celebrant, title your image wedding celebrant. Title it by the keyword, because those images will come up on Google. So if you, for example, if you Google your business or your name and you go into images, you're likely to come up, right, as an image. Now, they found those images online from somewhere. So that image needs to have the title that you want to be shown, because it will be shown on Google Images. So title your images. So a couple of things: make sure your images are small, make sure they're titled. Obviously not necessarily for SEO, but make sure they're nice and clear. They're not pixelated. You want a fantastic visual representation of you and your business. Okay. Now, there's a couple of other things to think about. So you may have heard with SEO of a meta description and a meta tag. Okay, they sound scarier, maybe. If you haven't heard of them, then they are. But basically, a meta description is the description underneath your title of your business on Google. Okay, I'm going to show you this because it might be easier to explain, and I want you to really get this. So this is the type. So we're on a humanist page. I typed in celebrant on Google. Okay, so this isn't an incognito browser. So last night I was searching about humanists, so it's probably pulling that up now for me because it's seen my previous searching data. So this is the title. This is an SEO title. So when you look at the back end of your website, you will see SEO title. This is your SEO title, okay? This is obviously your web domain. And then this is your meta description, okay? So it's a short description that Google pull up, okay? So they will pull this up. If you don't add a meta description into your website, If you don't add your own one, it will just pull a couple of sentences from your homepage or from whatever page it's pulling up. And it won't be a fantastic a representation maybe of that page, because they may just pull up a little 2-line introduction that you've done, and it may not explain what that page is about. Now let me have a look to see if I can find one that hasn't updated theirs. For example, this page, okay? Wage slaves. I always pick up the best things, don't I? So they haven't done their meta description by themselves, because here you can see at the end they've got the name, they've got a date. It's not very structured. What you want to have is, for example, this one which comes up, which is actually something I wrote in 2015 for Wedding Planner, and it comes up a lot. So the SEO for that is really strong. But this is too short, but it is, Tailor-Made Ceremonies explains why a wedding celebrant is a great option for your wedding. It says exactly what that is. Okay, so you're reading that. It's like another way of reinforcing the content. So not only do you have the title, but you also have a meta description. Okay, so that's what a meta description is. I'm going to stop my share. Okay, so that's the meta description. Now, meta tags are tags. They're tags, okay? So if you want to be found, again, for your keyword, wedding celebrant, tag the page, wedding celebrant, yeah? If you want to be found for outdoor wedding, tag the page, outdoor wedding, okay? If you're on a WordPress website, you have a plugin called Yoast. And Yoast will be your best friend, because Yoast is based on a traffic light system, and Yoast will talk you through these elements. And Yoast will make sure that you're doing everything you can on your page to optimize it for SEO. So it will say to you, enter your meta tags. Okay, so tags are really like keywords for SEO for your website. So enter your meta tags, okay? That's important. Go through page by page and make sure you've done all those elements. So let's just go back over those elements. Images, make sure your images are optimized with being as small as they can without being pixelated, and make sure they're titled and they've got your keyword within the title. That is really optimizing your images, okay? And I can't stress enough, make them small so that your page speed is fast, okay? Make sure your URLs are clean, so you don't have tons of numbers at the end of your URLs. Make sure you filled out your meta descriptions, which comes below your Google listing. Make sure your SEO titles are correct and a representation of that business, of that page. So the titles above, make sure it's a representation of that page. And then you've got some meta tags in there, which are your keywords. Okay, make sure there's no bugs on your site. Now, if you don't already, register for a Google console, okay? Google Search Console, write that down and register for that. Now, what Google Search Console will do for you is it tracks your performance of your website. It tracks the performance, it sees if there are any bugs within your website, and it will just give you a good overview of, is your website being found? I mean, not in as much detail as analytics, but it will give you a good overview of the performance of your site. It will tell you your page speed, that kind of thing. So you can see what you may need to improve. So have a look at that one. Talking about Google, ensure you've got your Google Analytics set up and going, okay? So Google Analytics is a fantastic way of tracking your people going to your site. So it's a fantastic way of people going to your site and finding out where they come from. On Google Analytics, you can find out if they're male or female, if they've looked at it on a mobile, if they've looked at it on a desktop, whereabouts in the world they are. They could be from Ukraine or from Australia or whatever. Like, it's good to see where they're coming from for your website. And gather this information. There's lots of Google Analytics training on Google Analytics itself, so you can go through the training program. You actually get little certificates and things once you've gone through it. to really learn, you know, the power of Google Analytics. Now, the power of Google Analytics is finding out who's actually viewing your content and what pages they're viewing. And you can see how long they've been on your page. So if they've only been on your page for 2 minutes, you need to, well, for 2 seconds even, you need to question why they've only been on your page for 2 seconds, okay? You may not have relevant information, you may not be capturing them, and you're definitely not converting them if they're jumping on and off. So you need to go through all the points that we've just talked about and ensure that you're talking to your brand hero and you've got really sharp images that are pulling people in, okay? So have a look at that, and you can have a look through Google Analytics. Another thing to check is whether your website is responsive. So can you see your website on an iPad the same as you can on an iPhone or an Android phone? Does it look the same? It won't look exactly the same, but is it visually attractive? Can you get to where you want to get to easily? Does it look good? You know, can you find the contact form easily? Make sure it is visually beautiful so that people come on. It's something crazy, like, well, not even crazy anymore, but maybe 70% people view on mobile first before going onto a desktop. So you want to make sure your mobile view is completely responsive, okay? And another thing, Google will know whether it is or not, and will help you grow up the rankings if it is fully mobile responsive. Another thing on your website is don't have any duplicate content on your website, okay? So make sure what you're saying you've only said once, okay? That's really important, because if you have duplicate content, like I say a lot with blogs, you know, make sure you're giving exclusive blogs on to other places, because Google just doesn't like it. They crawl twice and they just don't like it. So make sure you've got that content once on your website. Another thing people used to do, which you'll get penalized for doing now, is putting a whole bunch of keywords in white on a white page. So a lot of people used to put wedding celebrant Bristol, Bristol wedding celebrant, Bristol wedding, Bristol whatever, you know, and then they used to put it in white at the bottom because they thought Google will just jump on all those keywords and grab all those keywords. Don't do that, because Google will penalize you for that. Just a tip. Another thing that Google really likes, Google is incredibly greedy. They like you to link your pages to your pages. So if you're on a wedding page, for example, your wedding ceremonies page, link one part of your content on there to a blog, for example. So if you've written a blog about outdoor weddings and you're writing your wedding ceremonies page and you've talked about the fact that you offer outdoor weddings, then link to that blog. They like it if your blog is joining up. Yeah, so if it's coming together. So again, on a blog, you could put read more about my wedding ceremonies and link it to your wedding page, vice versa. Okay. So I think that's pretty much it on SEO. So making sure you've got your keywords together. In regards to being found, what I would like you to start thinking about is the words that come up when you Google yourself, okay? Or when you Google your area and wedding, for example. I'm going to show you this as well. There are lots of ways of finding out how to get found. So if I type in wedding celebrant, you see all of these here. Now these are what people have searched for before, okay? So these are the type of things people are searching for. If I type in what is a celebrant, these again are the type of things people are talking about. So you may want to look at celebrant and ceremony because that's what someone's typed in before. Okay, so you may want to use those as your keywords embedded in your website. The other thing you can look at is right at the bottom. So these are searches related to the word celebrant. So this again is something else people are searching for. Okay, so this is why keywords are really, really important. because that's what Google is crawling around your website looking for, these keywords. Okay, so there's a couple of other ways to find out what the best keywords are. You can ask your previous clients, how did you find me? How did you find me? What did you type into Google? You know, if you've got a good relationship with these people, then it's worth asking that question, because that's, you know, what an average person who is booking you is you know, doing on Google. So you could ask them, what keywords did you type in to Google? You could also look at a couple of keyword things online. So I'm just going to stop that share. So there are paid websites that you can go on and you can find out about popular keywords. Okay, so that's what more advanced SEO is these people go onto sites called Moz, MOZ.com, and they register, and you can do it, and you can register for a free trial and have a look at it. And you can see, if you type in wedding celebrant, you can see how many people are searching for wedding celebrant and how many people are searching for variations of wedding celebrant too. And then you can use those keywords on your website. And this is a way, there's another way you can do it for free, which is using Google AdWords, which is, you know, starting to get into, you know, the advertising realm of Google. One thing I would say, if you ever consider doing Google AdWords, I would have a caution over it. It's expensive, but also it's not proven, but it's seen on a regular basis that if you start using Google AdWords and you stop using Google AdWords, you won't grow as high on the Google ladder because they want you to pay again, okay? So you have to think about it in that way. I wouldn't personally, and I don't know about you guys, but it's not something I look at straight away, is the ads. I look at the first kind of top 5 organic rankings. That's where you want to be. You want to be in the top 5. Okay, and the way that you're going to do that is everything that we've just talked about. So all of that SEO work, plus some of the work that we've talked about with the PR. So getting your blogs out there, getting your name on other people's websites. Now, why do that? And I'll just go over that again. These big websites have hundreds of thousands of people coming to it every month. So let's just take Hitched as an example, right? It has hundreds of thousands of people viewing their content every single month. Google thinks they're the bomb, right? They think they are amazing. They're on #1 when you type in wedding directory or something. You know, they're right up there. If your site, where we are down here, wants to increase their rankings quite quickly, really, you need to get on this website, because Google will trust you more if this big website up here is putting your content on their website. Okay, so I'll just say that again. So they've got a very high authority on Google. They're #1. You're here. If you get your content up there onto this site, Google thinks, wow, Hitched, who have got 100,000 people, say, coming to their website, trusts this business enough to put their content on that website. So it will help you grow in the rankings, because it's all about trust with Google, okay? So think about that when you're getting your site out there. It's just as important to get your website onto all these other different resources. Now, I think I've said it before, but get yourself on all the free directories out there, even if they're small business directories, Yale.com, Google. Make sure you're on Google and you're registered on Google. So when you type in your business, on the right-hand side, you'll notice your business name and your address and your information about you. Make sure that's up to date and correct. There is a little button at the bottom if it's not correct that says suggest and edit. So if you click on suggest and edit, you can edit that, but make sure you've got that up there. Okay. The other thing that's really important and can be done for SEO too is getting reviews on Google. Okay, so Google will trust you if you've got reviews on there. Okay, so that helps with the trust level. So what I do when I send my thank you and my regards after the ceremony, I also asked them if they would do a review for me on Google and Facebook. And just make sure it's really simple. It's one click, and just explain to them, would you mind copying it over to Facebook or vice versa? There's two ways of thinking about it with getting reviews on Facebook or Google. So what one should you do, as your primary source? Now, when we talk about Facebook, we think Facebook really is another website for us, but it's a trusted site too. It's a journey of your business. It's an online blog for us, for example. It's a way for us to be posting our information on there. It's like a diary, yeah? So having reviews on there are really important, because people will probably go from your website onto there to see live reviews. They will also see this content if you've got them on Google. So Google will help. Having reviews on Google will help your rankings. But again, if you need reviews on Facebook too, because that's your social proof. People may not look at the Google reviews. Try and get both if you can, okay? So lastly, you want to find out where your competitors are, okay? You want to find out where those competitors are, where they're ranking, how they're getting to where they are. So we've already looked at competitors quite a lot of the way. We've been looking at who's in our area and what are they up to, what are they doing. But what we want to look at is where they're ranking. So what directories are they on? What blogs have they been on? Why are they above me? Yeah, why are they above me? Where are they? So, for example, type in your own business in Google and see what comes up. See, if you've been on a blog, if you've been mentioned here or there, probably your Facebook page will come up, probably whatever other social media pages you've got will come up. And then start to look at those competitors that we looked at before and start to Google them. There is an easy way of doing it, which is through moz.com, which I talked about, moz.com. You can do a free trial on there, I believe. I'll just double check that, but I'm pretty sure you can do a free trial, and you can do that competitor analysis. So you can Google them and find out, you can put their web address into that site and find out where else they are. Now, if they're on Hitched, you really want to get yourself on Hitched too. Yeah. And you want to make sure everything that we've been through today has been done, because I can bet you other people out there who may be slightly higher than you won't have optimized their sites or got as many links out there as you. Okay. You can't sit back on SEO. You do have to keep it going, because other people will keep theirs going and then they may jump ahead of you. Okay, so make sure your site is optimized in every way we've been through, but then keep trying to get your blog out there. Keep blogging, keep having fresh content on your website, because Google just loves fresh content. So keep that fresh content going. And try and get yourself on these other blogs out there. Okay, that's going to be the way of growing on Google. That was a lot of information, but hopefully it was clear, and I tried to keep it slow, so you've got a lot of stuff in there. So if you go back and watch this video again and take down as many notes as you can to put into practice. Again, if you've got any questions, ask them on Friday. We can go through it again. We can go through any element again. I can share my screen with you again in our live Q&A, or put questions within the group. But jot down all of those notes. Start to have a look at Google. Make sure you're going through every single page of your website, and that the content on that page is a true representation of you. It's branded in your style, so you're consistent. And the images are optimized and the images are sharp, and there are pictures of you on your website so people can connect, and make sure that content on there really does resonate with your brand hero, who we've been talking about a lot. And then make sure that the back end is doing really well. So if you have a WordPress website, do download Yoast plugin. It's really nice and easy then to put that detail in there and to really understand where you're at with it, because it's a traffic light system. I can't say for other websites. I'm a WordPress builder myself, so I don't know how to use the other websites so well. But if you are using a WordPress platform, then that's my advice to you. Now, it's 4, and I was going to talk about podcasts. So I'll quickly talk about podcasts. And if you can't, if you need to go, because it's 4 o'clock already, but just bear with me 1 second. Ugh. Okay. So what is a podcast? A podcast is another way of blogging, but an audio blog. And they've become very, very popular now because it's a way of taking in information in a different way, okay? Because we all take this information in different ways, video, audio. But audio gives people the opportunity to listen when they're running or, when they're in the car, driving. It gives a way of us being able to talk to these people and connect to these people in a way they haven't necessarily done before and at their convenience. So podcasts are really good for that. And podcasts are really good for, giving over quality information. So when you're thinking about doing a podcast, you do need to think, can I provide enough information, that's informative and that's actually interesting and will connect with my brand hero? Okay, so make sure you're touching, your brand, everything that you put out there on these podcasts, you're actually resonating with people and you're giving value. Again, it's all about giving that value. Think about titling your podcast well. You want to connect, and you will do just really by your title, because there are a lot now out there and you don't want just to call your podcast Celebrant. You want an interesting title on your podcast. And then get it set up and start to think, just as you do with the blogging, start to think about the different topics you can talk about and try and do, you could even just do 1 a month, your voice is out there and start to share it. And again, don't just share it once, share it on social media a couple of times, even 3 times during that month. There is no reason why you can't reuse content. Okay, so when you're producing a blog and you've done it and it's on your site and you're really happy with it, don't just put it out there once, put it out there quite a few times, so people, are actually seeing it, because Facebook, for example, won't show it to everybody. So there is a little bit about podcasts in the book, which goes into a bit of detail about how you would go about starting one. And so have a look at that, but I may put some more information in the group about starting a podcast and the best, place to go to get that going. Okay. It's now 4:05, so I'm going to unmute you. We'll do some questions for 5 minutes or so, and then we can save the rest of the questions for Friday. So I'm going to unmute you. Okay, does anybody have any questions? I know that was quite a big topic, and it's probably one of the biggest topics we've done, but all that information is really important, and please do listen to this again to take that information in. But Helen.
Yeah, when you're trying to do the meta, I can't remember if it's meta tags or phrase or what it is. But I put one thing in and nearly always says, but that's not in the first paragraph. And then I struggle, apart from in a blog, trying to decide what the first paragraph is. Is that the meta tag or the phrase or meta description? It wants it in the first paragraph of whatever you're putting that in for. Does that make sense to you, Jennifer, if not to anybody else?
So if I'm understanding correctly, and tell me if I'm not, but when you put your keyword in, when you're doing your SEO, that keyword needs to be in the first paragraph of your page or your blog. So you've got your blog title and it literally is that first paragraph. Is that what you mean?
I think so, but I mean, blogs is kind of, I'm thinking more, say, for the home page of my website. I'm desperately trying to bring it up so I can give you an example. So if your keyword for the home page of your website is wedding celebrant, it won't be wedding celebrant in Wales, yeah?
Yeah.
how likely is it that you're going to have that in the first paragraph of your website? And is the first paragraph of your website, for instance, in my website, the wording that's over the top of the picture at the top of the page, or is it the paragraph that starts off with "Hi, I'm Helen"?
Yeah, it's the first paragraph of content. However, I wouldn't worry too much about the home page, because you don't want it to sound robotic and like you've just placed it in there, and it might just not be natural content in there, and that's fine. SEO is a guideline. It doesn't have to be completely perfect, so I wouldn't worry about that so much. Obviously, you probably need to mention that once within your page, so make sure it is in your page once. But you can more easily do the SEO content on your other pages and on your blogs, of course. I wouldn't worry so much about your homepage, as well as the amount of content too, because you don't want to clutter your homepage with too much content. So there are two ways of looking at it. There's your visual and there's your SEO. You still need to make it visually appealing, because there will be a lot of people coming to your website organically. So you still want it to be visually appealing. So you've got those two aspects. So SEO again is a guideline, but I wouldn't clutter your website, and especially your homepage, just because you feel like you need to get those keywords in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And when you're talking about title the image, do you mean have a title on the back of the website that people can't actually see? So when they see the image, it's not that it's got a title.
Yes. So when you upload your image on all platforms, I'm sure it will say to you title and description. You don't necessarily need to put a description, but just make sure that title's relevant and it's got your keyword in if you can. Okay, any other questions? Yes, Alan?
2 questions. On my webpage, do you think it is advisable to give some information about funerals and what's required, or not?
On what webpage?
My website, sorry.
Is your website just funerals at the moment?
I know it's both, but I'm thinking on the funeral page, is it worth giving people some information that they can take away in terms of registering death, that sort of thing, or not?
Absolutely, yes. Because it's about being an expert in your field too. So you want to show credibility that you know all of that. So yeah.
Okay, cool. And secondly, if I'm doing testimonials for funerals, what sort of pictures do I want with them? Because a lot of people won't want their picture with the testimonial, whereas they probably do with with weddings.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about pictures.
Nope. Okay.
I wouldn't worry. And I wouldn't worry if you can't get them for weddings. You know, it's often difficult to get pictures. I mean, I've emailed all of my weddings, but I've probably not heard back from 5 of them with images. You know, some people are super busy or they don't think about it, or, you know, we all know, like with the celebrant probably being the last thing on their minds sometimes. So yeah. I can't get those images unless I stalk them on Facebook and then ask them whether I can use them. Sometimes I do. Yeah, it's not always possible, but if you can, that's great.
Yep, no, that's fine. Thank you.
Yes, Debbie?
I think I'm talking meta tags, but I'm not sure. If I've got something like wedding celebrant, is that 2 separate words, wedding space celebrant, or are they 2 words together? Wedding celebrant.
They can be 2 words together, yeah.
Sorry?
They can be 2 words together. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Is your site on a WordPress site?
No.
Okay. There's the option at the side of a WordPress website, which may be the same as yours, that says meta tags, and you can type them in and they will come up and you'll be able to accept them. And the good thing about it then is when you do another page and you want similar meta tags, because you can use similar meta tags across your website, they'll already be there for you, so you can just click on them.
Yeah, no, sadly, or luckily, I'm not sure which, my partner's created the website himself using code.
Oh, yes.
So it's all very clever, but I haven't got the benefit of little plugins like that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, this is what happened with the Celebrant directory, because it's more of a complicated site, because there's lots and lots of elements to the site. I had it designed as a custom site, which is great, but it's also a negative for me because I can't do my own SEO. So as much as I could go in there and do my own, you know, go over each page all the time and making sure, you know, the performance is great. You can't. I have to pay someone else to do it now because it is a custom site. So there are pros and cons to, you know, to doing it. I'm sure you can do your SEO on your site, but with the Celebrant Directory being a big site, I have to get somebody else to do it for me, unfortunately. But it's the same with all platforms of, you know, web design. Each has their, you know, pros and their cons. Yeah. Any other questions? Can't see everybody. So James, any questions? No questions?
Yeah, can you summarise everything you said in the last 10 hours in, last hour in 10 words or less, please?
Would you like me to summarise? I can totally summarise in like 5 minutes. So
No,
SEO.
It's fine.
Yeah, but there is a lot of content in there, of course. And like I say, with every single subject we've been talking about, there's a lot of content, but this content is important content for moving your business forward. So do listen to this video, take down more notes as you can, and implement as much as you can. And then, you know, we can go back over it again too. But it's all important stuff. And I hope that I've explained it clearly enough for you. So please do go back over it and ask any questions you have.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was fab. And I love it. There's so much in it. So it's great.
Good. Okay, guys. Well, we're 4:15. I gambled on for a little bit too long today. But thank you for coming on a bit later. It's great that you could have all, you know, made it at this time. So we've got Wednesday. Just going to check my diary that it is Wednesday. I still use a paper diary. I don't know about you, but yes, Wednesday, 4 p.m. We've got Helen, who's a Pinterest consultant, so she's going to do, and we're going to have another Pinterest session because Pinterest is really important to get right for us, for our SEO. So that's 4 p.m. UK time on Wednesday. And then on Friday this week, we've got at 4:30 Instagram training. So if you can make that one, that's also great. But of course, I'll put it in the members area if you can't. And that is with Pinterest Pro. So that'll be a really good one. And then 7th of November at 11 a.m. UK time, we've got LinkedIn with Helen Pritchard, who just devotes her whole life to LinkedIn. And then on the 8th, unfortunately I have to squeeze them all in, so we've got quite a few, is Laura back again, who did our Twitter. She's back again to do Facebook for us, and that is at 1:30 UK time on the 8th. So I did send an email out, but I'll send up more reminders out with those as and when they come up. So yeah, good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, enjoy your evenings. I'm picking up my little boy at 5, and then I'm off to get fish and chips. I can't wait. That's going to be my evening tonight. And yeah, I'll speak to you. I'll see you guys in the group, and hopefully we'll have some movement and traction on the outdoor wedding stuff. And what I'm planning to do, if there is any movement on that, you know, and it's something that we really need to, you know, work quickly on, I'm going to put a press release together maybe tonight, and I may, if we need to do it, share it with everybody, and then you can just edit it and send it yourselves. I think that's something that's you know, really important for us all to do to move forward, you know, for our future. So yeah. All right. Well, I'll speak to you all soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
See you later
Jennifer.
all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye now.
Bye.